Hello and welcome to the Board Crew, episode 53, the one with the trees. I'm your host, Ben.
And I'm David.
And we are doing some nature theme.
I'll be discussing growing a beautiful, environmentally friendly world in Harmonies.
And I'm going to be looking at the cutthroat lives of trees in photosynthesis, which is strangely very, very, very cutthroat, at least according to this game. Well, no time like the present. Let's get growing.
Yeah.
First up, we're going to talk about Photosynthesis. This is by Blue Orange Games and designed by Yalma Hatch and art by Sabrina Miriam. This is a great little game for 2 to 4 players. It takes around just under an hour, I'd say. Half an hour if you're going quick. And personally, I think it plays better with more players. The aim of this game is you want your trees to grow and collect the most sun. Sunlight is points, and the more sun you can collect, the better. Sun you also get to spend, so you can spend more sun to put out more seedlings spreading from your trees. And it's a hex-based board, and actually not really a hex-based board. It's a circular board. There's like circles around each other. But essentially, even though they're all circles, you could just imagine them as actual hexes, and that will probably make it's concentric circles.
Hercles.
Yeah, hercles, I guess. And so when your tree is placed down, the higher it is, the further it can spread its seed. So like a really tall tree could drop a seed like a couple of tiles away, whereas a tiny little tree can only drop one right next to it.
Oh, like a tree I had in my backyard when I was a kid, and it had those wing seeds that spin around in a circle and go a long distance.
Yeah, if you've got the vertical, then you've got longer time to kind of glide down. One of the great things about this board is the sun actually moves around the board. So the sun is just this big cardboard piece that you pick up and move and clip onto sort of the 4 corners of the board. So it goes round and round the 4 corners. And that will be the direction the sunlight is coming from. If you've ever stood behind a tree, you'll know that it casts a shadow. And so you don't get a lot of sunlight if you're in the shadow of the tree. Each tree will make a shadow as the sunlight moves around. That's very important because your trees are going to block the light out of other trees. If your tree is the same height or taller than another tree, then it doesn't get any light.
Oh.
And so if it doesn't get any light, it doesn't grow.
Brutal.
And you don't get any sun and the tree doesn't get any bigger, which is, incredibly brutal. But you know that sunlight is going to shift around. So at some point, you might be able to get your light casting a shadow onto their tree, unless they put another tree on the other side of your tree, and in which case you don't get sun both ways, or all 4 ways if you're really unfortunate with your tree stuck in the middle.
Oh dear.
Yeah. The interesting thing is, so you would go, well, obviously I'm just going to build on the edges, and then that way I get more sunlight all the time. At least I'm going to get some sunlight because I'm right on the edge of the board. That is a strategy that you can use. However, you get more points for going towards the center. And the very center spot is worth a lot of points, but it's just really hard to get a tree to grow big there because everyone's tree is casting shadows in that direction. It's really quite an interesting game. You get to choose when to spend your sun, and it's kind of like an economy almost by spending the sun, but it's saving up for, do I want to spend the sun to get a whole heap of seeds out now and try and get them to grow? Or then they might not do anything because they're just stuck in the shade for me for a few rounds, and that would be really bad. And where are you going to place those trees? You only have a certain number of each size of tree. So if you put out a ton of seeds and then you don't have enough seedling pieces to actually put the sprouts out, even if that seed gets sun, it won't grow because you can't put one.
Oh, no, you don't want that.
Yeah, and conversely, like your really big trees, well, you've only got 2 of those. And they're great because they collect lots of sun, but you only get the points when you kind of harvest or let them sort of degrade back into nature. And so if you've got that big tree in the middle, it's great to have it and it's just soaking up all the sun, but you really need to actually let it be destroyed so that you can get the points for having a tree in the middle.
Reminds me of those nature documentaries in the jungle. There's always a lot of competition for the sun. The trees that grow really tall succeed, and underneath them there's lots of seedlings that never amount to anything.
Yeah.
Sounds like you want to put your big trees in the middle, like you said, to hopefully get a little bit of sun.
Except you've got to get them to the big tree for that to work. So it looks beautiful. All of the trees are 3D cardboard pieces. You actually get a visual representation of a forest. Everyone's tree is a different season. So there's like winter trees, autumn trees, spring tree, and summer trees. I guess it's anachronistic to think them all growing in the same thing, but they look really beautiful, and it makes the forest that you end up building look really great. And that the cardboard piece of the sun moving around is quite, like, it's slightly gimmicky, but it really helps sort of determine this is the direction that the sun's coming from. It's really easy for me to work out where the shadows are going, etc. Then you got a few achievements for growing trees on various bits of soil, first person to do. At the end of the game, the person with the most sun points wins, and everyone else will hate them because they've created so much shade.
Yes, I can see some competition there. I mean, the sun moving around is realistic. I mean, I guess the sun does actually do that in real life. So
yeah. Now, apparently there is an expansion where you can add like little creatures that run around through the forest as well. I haven't played that. I think this base game is it's a nice little, we'd call it an abstract in the way that it feels the placement and position of everything really matters, and it's very mechanical in that way, but the theme of growing trees does come through. But I would say if you don't like abstracts at all, you should probably stay away from this one, because it is very much like, I'm going to put my tree here, I'm going to grow it here, and simple actions that have far-reaching consequences. Even though there is a theme attached, it feels abstract.
Does it have that element of planning ahead? I'll do this, he'll do that, I'll do this.
Yeah, although sometimes people surprise you, and sometimes you think you've worked out where the shade is going to be, like in 3 or 4 turns, and you're like, oh, that's fine, my tree will be big enough by then. And then you realize that you miscalculated that this tree is actually going to grow, which then puts shade on that tree, which you thought was going to shade the tree that was now going to grow, and then put shade on yours. So just that kind of cascading thing of where things grow and how they interact can mean that you think you've worked out what it's going to look like in 3 or 4 turns, and actually you missed one step, and so the whole kind of machine falls down.
Just give me my sun.
Yeah, please, I just need the sun. Anyway, I really like it. Be prepared for a mean game that, if you don't like getting in each other's face, stay away from it. But if you would like sort of fairly light to medium weight game that doesn't take long to do the rules, easy to play, and looks beautiful, I'd give it a shot.
Sounds like fun. I do also like that the trees are 3D. If the whole game is about trying to get into the sun, but also blocking other people and giving them shade, having 3D trees makes a lot of sense. They could have easily gone with tokens, but it sounds like it would have lost a lot of theme.
Yeah, and the other thing is everything is made out of recycled paper.
Oh, that's nice.
There's no plastic in it. It's all cardboard tokens and stuff, and it looks beautiful. So save the trees. Photosynthesis.
I'm going to talk about Harmonies, actually another game about trees and nature, and another game involving hexes with a hex-shaped board, so points in common there. Harmonies is a game in which you are trying to create beautiful and ideally high-scoring patterns on a hex-shaped board with tiles. The game begins with the selection of a nature spirit card. You get a couple of choices and you can pick one. The nature spirit card gives you a little pattern you've got to create. You have to create this pattern once on your board. And when you do, it then unlocks a scoring opportunity. So, for example, there's one that gives you scoring for 2 points per water. There's scoring for various combinations of trees and buildings and other things. So there's a lot of strategy in picking your opening nature spirit card because it could have a big impact on how you play out the game. During your turn, you always take 3 tiles. So the tiles, there's the little round tiles, and they have different colors, different pictures on them. They represent things like wood and trees and stone and buildings and plains. And you pick 3, so there's like 5 selections of 3 tiles, and you've got to pick one selection of 3 tiles, and you've got to take all 3. Then you have to find somewhere to place them on your board. And you have to place all 3, and you have to place them straight away.
The plus is you can place them anywhere. Like, you don't have to place them next to things that you've currently placed or etc. You can choose long-term planning, which probably won't work. But you can pretend you're long-term planning.
Yeah, I like to have a visualization in my mind of what I'm trying to achieve. Whether it works out, that's a different story. You've also got the option to pick an animal card. The animal cards are key to victory. What they do is they have a pattern on them that you want to try and create. And when you create that pattern, you get to put out an animal cube. The animal cube then unlocks a scoring tier on that card. If you can create that pattern again, you get a higher score up to a certain maximum. Once you reach the maximum, you've completed that card. Now, the different tiles have different scoring, different types. The different tiles have different types of scoring. Each one scores in a different way. For example, mountains score more points when they're together, and they also score more points when you have taller mountains. Plains, you don't want just one, you want a couple. Trees, ideally you don't want just one little leaf by itself, you want a big tall tree. And so you've got different types of tiles, different types of scoring, but you also have the nature scoring, you also have the animal scoring cards that we talked about as well. And each animal card gives you a score that's unique to that pattern. And so there's a lot of strategy involved in trying to work out how to get good scores for your tiles, but also complete as many cards as possible. If you build up lots of great scoring with your tiles, for example, if you have a nice long river, that's great. But if you haven't completed your animal cards, you're not going to get many points. In the same way, you can complete your animals cards, but if you've got like lots of little bits of water and they don't form a river, you're probably going to get a terrible score. And trying to make
I find the scoring is about 50-50 usually for the winner. They've almost scored equal out of their animals and their terrains. But the tricky part is often the patterns that the animals want you to have don't necessarily score well for the terrain points. You're like, oh no, to get this duck to go here, I'm going to have to break my river up or something.
Yeah, that's right. It's tricky. I also find the end of the game can be something that often creeps up on me. The game ends once one of the boards is almost full. I often find that I like to build up tall with big mountains and big trees and epic patterns. I've got this massive visualization for the wonderful result I'm going to have once I get all the right tiles. And then someone's gone really low. They've just got one leaf here, one little low mountain over there. And suddenly the game is over and it's too late and I can't fulfill my pattern. So there's quite a bit of strategy there, I think. I found I've gotten beaten a few times where I thought I had this really great pattern going on and I thought I had this really strategy and I was like, sure, I'm going to win with this strategy. And then the game is over and I'm only half finished.
Yeah. The other limiting factor is that you can only have 4 animal cards at once, which includes your nature spirit that you start with until you've completed them. And so sometimes you can get a bit greedy and you're like, oh, I could get that animal and I could get that animal. Oh, that's going to work with my patterns. And then suddenly you realize that all of your animal cards are full or slots. And then the perfect animal, which you already have the pattern of all through your board, is sitting there and you can't take it until you've finished up all the others. So there is a bit of strategy of when to take an animal card and when to sort of go, I'm going to wait and see what else comes up. Although then someone else might take it.
Actually, I think that's part of the game's genius and how that ties into the tiles you have to take. Often to complete an animal card, you need certain tiles. For example, to complete this one animal card, I just need 2 more mountain pieces. And lo and behold, there's 3 tiles I can take. 2 of them are mountains, but the third one's are plains. I don't want planes. Do I take it? And I find that creates a really dynamic, changing feel over the course of the game. Well, now I'm going planes. That wasn't the plan.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it works really well. And it works at 2, 3, or 4 players, really. So.
Most of the games that I've played have been 3-player on Board Game Arena. And yeah, it works really great.
When you do play with 4 players, there's there's always this end game victory condition, but it doesn't happen in anything less than 4. When you run out of tiles, the game ends as well. And I have never seen that happen in a less than 4-player game. But in a 4-player game, that's quite a possible way of that the game will just end because there's no more tiles left in the bag. And so bad luck. That's where it ends.
If everyone played the way I do, that would happen more often.
Yeah. You generally find in 4 players, one person is still doing a flat out, like just, I'm going to spread out with planes. You know, they've got the lion that scores extra points for planes, or the butterfly or something like that. And so they're just making wide rivers with planes all the way through. But yeah, it still can, when you've got 4 players, the tiles do run out.
One thing that lends longevity to the game for me, and also is perhaps maybe a minor issue, is the nature spirit cards. I find some nature spirit cards are just generally easy to play around. There's the one I mentioned before gives you 2 points per water tile that you have out. I find that's really easy to play around. There's others that are very tricky to play around. I find the game has longevity for me. I'll often pick a nature spirit card that is one I haven't used before, or one I don't really know how to play around, and I find it makes the game more fun. I'm like, how do I make this card work? However, I feel like maybe the nature spirit cards aren't perfectly balanced. Some do seem a bit stronger than others.
I guess the harder ones do score higher, but they are much more situational. So it's a risk versus reward thing. You do get the choice of 2 when you start. So you're likely to get at least one reasonably easy one, and one maybe you're going to have to put some effort in to get this out. So
I think you can kind of plan a little bit based on what animal cards are available at the beginning of the game. You might say, well, this one works really well with the animal cards are available. Then there's that element of wondering, am I going to get it? Is somebody else going to take the animal card before I have a chance to take it?
In terms of complexity, I'd say this is sort of like one step up from something like Splendor. If you've introduced gamers to, or non-gamers especially, to Splendor and they've loved it, Harmonies looks beautiful, has a theme that people get. They're like, oh, I'm putting out animals and etc. It's a step up, though. I wouldn't introduce people that have never played games to Harmonies, but I think most people, if they've played something like Splendor and or Azul, and they've liked either of those, then I think they'll quite like Harmonies as well.
Like Azul, the pieces are beautiful. The tiles are solid wood, so I really like that. I like good quality components, so I find that appealing. And the color scheme is really aesthetic and pleasing as well.
Yeah, by the end of it, you do actually have a nice little habitat that you've built out in front of you, which looks cool.
I think the theme is also great and is likely to appeal to a lot of people, building trees and mountains and rivers, and it kind of looks the part. I love the way the river winds around the board. I really enjoy the game, and I think everyone I've played it with has enjoyed it. It's a great game. Harmonies.
Okay, so we've talked about 2 games, 2 nice little nature games. Actually, when I was buying some cubes for ants the other day, I noticed there was an upgrade pack for Harmonies where you can get like the little miniatures of each animal. And so, like, instead of cubes, you can have like a little penguin that actually goes on the thing, or a little lion, or something, which I think would look really great. I didn't get that, but yeah.
Oh no, that's
I can
so
see
cool.
your face going like, "Oh, that would be amazing." I reckon it would look great, but you know.
I can see the little penguin playing on my planes and the little monkey playing on the tree.
Did you see? It was at last PlayCon, the giant Harmonies, when they had all the animals made out of cardboard.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes, I did see that. Unfortunately, I hadn't, I didn't know the game at that time.
Yeah.
If I ever see that again, I'm going to jump on the opportunity. That was super awesome. And they did have animals too. They had like a bird, I seem to recall. And
yeah, I think so. So maybe it's sort of similar to this little upgrade pack, because the upgrade pack is just little figures that you put on, which was cool. But I was like, don't think I want to spend that much for just Harmonies.
No.
Anyway.
Probably a little bit smaller than the ones I saw at PlayCon.
Yeah, it was not for a giant board. It's just for the basic little Harmonies box. But there you go. You can pimp out Harmonies if you want. It's the kind of game that is possibly worth pimping out if you're going to show it to a lot of people. Well, it's been great to touch grass with you. And
Enjoy some sun.
yeah, get out and enjoy some sun. And we look forward to getting bored with you next time. Bye.
Bye.
And this was the Board Crew. We have a whole lot of fun making this and would love it if you could just leave us a review so we can make our content even better for you. You can roll over to our socials to find out what's going on and continue the conversation there. See you next time.
Botched French pronunciation.
I'm guessing we don't have a lot of French speakers listening anyway, so hopefully we'll be fine.
Yeah,
So-
that's probably true, actually. We'll just hope that they skip this episode.
yeah. If you are French, please turn off now.